What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Best Bet Show. It said Austin's Props was going to be here on the thumbnail, but he's snowed in. He says his internet's going back and forth. I don't know what the weather's like in Oregon, but it sounds pretty awful. We do have the always handsome, always presentable Alex Caruso. Not the basketball player with the headband, but the better one in our opinion. How are we doing today, Alex?
So wonderful. We've been doing the show for a long time now. We've been doing a lot of NFL predictions and whatnot. And now we're in the playoffs. I mean, what better than this? Playoff football. Everyone's engaged. People are hyped about it all over, excited for the games today. It's crazy that we're going to get two games on each of Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Obviously, today we're just talking about Saturday, but I'm really excited for both of these games, especially the snow or the wind bowl of the Chiefs and Dolphins coming on later.
Yeah, I don't know what the weather's actually supposed to be like, but from what I'm hearing, it's supposed to be people are not gonna be able to move.
It's supposed to be negative 30. It's
That's
supposed to be like
insane.
one of the coldest games in NFL history. That says to me that we'll talk about it later, but that means lots of really good unders or parlay options you can be taking in these games. So I could not be more hyped.
I completely agree. I will say if you see our ban, you said not to bring eyes to this. I'm gonna talk about it first. Our little banner on the bottom, our editor misspelled a very key word. If you can see it, it might take you a while. But we're gonna excuse that. We're gonna go past that. Let's talk about the first game. Browns Texans. You got veteran Joe Flacco, first playoff game in 10 years. Should probably win comeback player of the year, regardless of whatever your opinion is. Versus a rookie QB at home. This is an awesome game. A great defense versus, I guess, two teams that are both fairly good. Browns, obviously, the defense is their key part. Texans, CJ Stroud, when he's played, has been unbelievable. What are your thoughts on this game in general on sides and totals before we get into player props?
On sides and totals, I mean, I'm definitely going for Cleveland in this game. Like, I know the rookie quarterback career record is usually not very good to open up in the playoffs. I'm a big believer in this Browns defense. I'm a big believer in the Joe Flacco story. Maybe I'm biased because I'm enjoying this so much. I think it's a win-win. Whoever wins this game, I'm rooting for in the next round. But more importantly, this game, I'm probably leaning on the over. I think these offenses are going to be pretty explosive today. And I think beyond that, I think you have to go with the Browns, especially at only -2 when you can just, if they win by a field goal, you cover. I think that's pretty exciting today. How about you?
One thing I'm right there with you. I like the over and I like the Browns. I think that, and this is not my only reasoning, but like the Texans, they're playing with house money. They exceeded expectations. They found their quarterback of the future. Obviously found the right coach as well. They're gonna have an exciting next few years. I just don't think this year is the year. And the Browns made desperate moves, obviously with quarterbacks and Joe Flacco, Nick Chubb going down, Jerome Ford stepping up, the defense being unbelievable. Defense wins games this time of the year, and I just think the Browns are going to win. The one thing that's weird I want to point out is that the spread is getting worse. Opened up at 1.5, went to 3 and 2.5. Now it's back down to 2, but the money line's gotten worse. Like the money line was -135 on like every book. And now it's like -140, but the spread is getting thinner. So
it's interesting. Did you know that do you know how many rookies have started a playoff game? Since 2008, there has been 25 rookies to start a playoff game. Do you know guess how many won out of 25?
25. I'm gonna say like 8.
6.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco was one of them. Joe
Wow.
Flacco just says he's got that dog in him at all times, but there's some pretty weird names on here. It's like players like TJ Yates, Taysom Hill, Joe
It's
Flacco.
like Hill doesn't count. Did he win a game or did he lose?
Who? Joe?
No, did Taysom Hill win a game or did he lose?
Taysom Hill won. He's one of the 6.
That doesn't even count. He's
Yeah,
not a real quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't count. So since 2012, there have been 2 rookies, Taysom Hill and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy plays in the most dominant offense in the entire NFL. And Taysom Hill, I don't even know why you want to count that game. So
yeah, I agree.
Browns money line or the Browns spread. I don't know what will. Either way, I hope there's a lot of points scored, especially for our player props.
Yeah, after watching Joe Flacco put the most points on the Jets this season in one half, I'm fully confident in their abilities. I'm sure Cinderella, the clock will strike midnight at some point, but I do see them advancing in this game. Let's talk about our props. We're both on David Njoku over 5.5 receptions. I'm also on David Njoku over 19.5 longest reception for a half unit. And he kind of goes hand in hand with what Joe Flacco has been doing. I mean, he's been seeing 6+ targets in every game, and every game besides the first game with Joe Flacco, he's been seeing 8 to 9 or 14 targets. And if Cooper had 265 yards that first time, I'm assuming he's going to be a very big priority come this game for the defense. And I think if he requires a lot of eyes, I think Njoku's his safe option, and he looks to target him a lot. You could explain a little more why you like him, but I love the Joe Flacco connection.
Yeah, I mean, I like the trio of Flacco, Cooper, and Njoku because this is a really like skeleton key type offense. And what I mean by that is that it's just really focused on a couple key players. So if you look at just the main coverages the Texans run, which is a lot of cover 4 and cover 6, David Njoku and Amari Cooper account for about 30% of their 60% of their
That's
team's
ridiculous.
targets. They're both over a 25% target share versus these. Amari Cooper's a little bit higher. He's over 30%. But I think both players and their props today are pretty exciting, especially because I saw today that the Texans have actually given up the highest yards per route run to outside wide receivers over the last 10 weeks. A lot of that is probably due and thanks to Amari Cooper, but I think both of those guys are really great options because of how condensed this offense is, especially against these Texans coverages.
Yeah, I agree. And looking through the course of the season, that they allow the third most receptions to tight ends and second most targets. So
Yeah.
it's somewhere that where they've been allowing the ball to come with the whole bend don't break mentality. They're allowing the tight ends to at least get a couple yards.
Well, even beyond that, I mean, David Njoku this year, he's played 3 games against teams that run top 6 rates of zone. He went over on his 5.5 receptions in all 3 of those in 3 games versus bottom 12 teams and most receptions given up to the tight end position. He's 3 for 3 on the over there. So I'm all in on Njoku today.
Yeah, I just got to text my brother saying he's watching the show on the big screen, so I just laughed if you saw me laugh. Appreciate the support, guys. But yeah, I'm all over David Njoku. I'm hoping he gets in the end zone. I'm rooting for a Browns win. I love the CJ Stroud story, but how can you not root for the Joe Flacco story in this game?
You can't
Like,
not root for it, but I think we got to be taking some CJ Stroud stuff because I think that although I think his clock is going to strike midnight, I think they're going to have to throw the crap out of the ball. I don't think they want to rely on Devin Singletary and Damian Pierce in a playoff game. I think they are going to put the ball in Stroud's hands, and I think that he's going to end up chucking a lot. That's why I'm taking over 33.5 pass attempts. I think that's a pretty good line, especially because every single QB to play against Joe Flacco has at least 37. And 4 out of 5 threw for at least 40 attempts. I think the ball is going to be in Stroud's hands. But how do you see the Texans side of the going? So how do you see the Texans side of the ball going for props wise?
yeah, I love that look. Again, it's also like when you look at the playoffs, we have so many weather games. This is one of the few dome games that we have.
Yep.
So it's the best one to target overs, in my opinion, especially on pass attempts and that nature. I love the pass attempts prop. I personally haven't been on it a lot this season, but I know you and Austin and other guys have been. And it seems to be a very profitable prop. And if the game script goes by what we both think, with the Browns taking a lead and also their run defense and their defense in general just taking a good stand in the first half, the latter part of the game is going to be very important for Stroud. And he's going to want to show his skills. I know they're building the media hype of everyone counting him out already, which I don't think everyone's counting him out. It's a 2-point spread. No one's saying they're going to get dogged, but I do think he throws the ball a lot. Nico Collins obviously is going to have a huge workload, whether or not they go, they double him or do whatever they can to stop him, but he's going to get his. And I do think he's very active, but I think he spreads the field very well. Dalton Schultz, I think, will get a couple catches as well. And I just think it is a very pass heavy game, especially game script. I know the Texans like to run Singletary a lot, but that's when they're kind of controlling the game. And I think the Browns defense will control the game with a lot of, quick 3 and outs, maybe a little early, and force them to throw the ball. That's the way I see it going. So I do like that. I don't know if I want to pick a player. So I think Stroud is the best option, which is what you're already on.
Yep. I completely agree. I think it's a good way to go. Do you want to talk about the Kansas City Dolphins game, or do you have anything left we want to talk about on this game?
Yeah, this guy said, Alex, who wins both games if you had to risk your life on the picks?
I'm risking my life. The super goat lock mega whale parlay of the 2-man today. It's got to be the Browns for sure on the top side, but it's got to be the Dolphins on the bottom side. How about we just go right into that with the Dolphins? Because my favorite play of all of Saturday is Tua Tagovailoa under 232.5 passing yards. For QBs the last 3 seasons in games under 15 degrees, QBs are just 2 for 12 on the over. The only guys that went over in this cold of a game were Aaron Rodgers and Kenny Pickett. Where do they play? Pittsburgh and Green Bay. They're used to cold weather games. No other warm weather QB like Tua has gone over in the last 3 seasons. Tua has a 55% pass completion percentage in games below 45 degrees. Chuck's below 45, and it is
That's
going
not
to
even
be
cold.
negative 30 tonight.
Yeah, no, I like it.
It's got to be the Chiefs and the Browns. I know it's like the homer way. They're both favorites today, but I think both those teams are going to dominate, and I don't think that those spreads, are doing enough justice, but I could be wrong.
I agree. I think the Dolphins are very banged up as well. Mostert and Waddle probably they're playing, but I mean they've been injured for the last couple weeks. The one thing the Dolphins can do as well for the Tua pick is that they can run the ball. I know the Chiefs' run defense is fairly good, but they're going to try to run the ball. Obviously in this weather as well. You don't want Tua also throwing probably 35 times a game. That's probably not what they're going to want to do if they want to win. So I do think if it is close, and I think it will be closer. The last time they played, I think was in the Frankfurt games when they were international, and the Chiefs were up like 21-0, and then almost lost because they came back 21-14. They lost in the last drive. I think this game's a little closer because of the weather, and I think it's a lot of running with Pacheco, a lot of running with Mostert, and I think the clock is used at such. It's just going to keep running. The clock's going to keep going. They're not going to stop. Mahomes loves to throw the ball, but to me, they're going to be very run heavy. And we could talk about Mahomes throwing the ball to a guy that we're both on as well, and Noah Gray. He's a hometown hero for Mr. Alex Caruso. I love the Noah Gray at 8.5 yards because he averages 10 yards a catch. And I like that. I think Kelsey, to me, I think Kelsey's done. Honestly, I think he's got a lot of surgeries going on. I think his body after taking all this stuff is it's kind of, you've seen it this year, whether the Taylor Swift drama you want to call it or whatever. Something's been going on with Travis Kelce. He can have 300 yards today, and I'll still think that way. And I love the way that they use Noah Gray. I think that him being a deceiving player in this lineup, there's not a lot of eyes on him. And he had 3 catches for over 30 yards the first time they played. And I just think that they're going to use him so well. And I think we could cover this in one catch. What are your thoughts? I know you're already on it, but explain the Noah Gray one a little more.
Yeah, I mean, so far this season, he's had a catch in 14 of the 16 games he played with Mahomes, and he went over that number in 12 out of 14 of those games. But the most important part that I love about Noah Gray is that his route share that means how many, like what percentage of the passing plays he's on the field for has gone up in 6 straight games. So we should see about, 30 to 40%. And this year, he's gone over in 12 out of 14 games when he has seen at least 30% of the routes, which is obviously really, really good. The other note is that the Dolphins run a lot of cover 6, and Travis Kelce's worst coverage that he goes up against is cover 6, which might be why Noah Gray outproduced him in the original game that they played
Definitely
against
why.
each other. Do I think Noah Gray's going to outdo that again? No, but we need 9 yards from Noah Gray. And when he's had at least 1 catch this year, he's only missed that number twice. So I think that he's going to at least get that if he gets 1 catch. He should be on the field for 30 to 40% of the plays. I think you get the point.
I agree. And the last game, too, like we said, they were up 21-0. He covered this with a 25-yard catch on the first drive when they played. And then he had first drive, 25-yard catch, first drive. And then he had 3 catches with 11 minutes to go in the third. And they were up 21-0. So they literally just stopped throwing the ball because they're up 21-0. They're trying to get in and out of the Frankfurt games, and they were trying to get the hell out by just running Pacheco. And you know how the story went. They ended up almost losing. They lost a lot of time of possession, but he was very active very early. And honestly, I love the spot.
Yeah,
I think he can get 2 catches too. I just think he'll be very active in general. I want to talk about other spots in this game. Everyone's all over Pacheco. What are your thoughts on any other props in this game? Do you like anything on the Dolphin side besides the Tua under, or are you kind of just fading that whole side?
I mean, to be honest, like I'm fading most of this game as a whole. Like I think the only things that I'm taking are these really like Noah Gray getting 1 catch. Like that's something I'm willing to put my money on for this game. Tua Tagovailoa not hitting this really high passing yards number in one of the coldest games in NFL history, but for the most part, I know it's Chiefs. and Dolphins, and we should be betting so much money all over the place in this game. But I think this whole cold weather thing is really throwing me off, and the fact that it's supposed to feel like -30, and we've almost never seen that in a game before. I think for me, I'm just going to try to stay away from this game because I think it could go so many different ways, and I just don't want to risk it beyond some really gimmies that feel like it at least.
Yeah, I agree. One bet I want to talk about that I actually almost played was Patrick Mahomes over rushing yards, rush attempts, or longest rush. I just think that they're going to try to get a little cheeky, maybe a couple, fake handoffs. He may sneak out by himself, and he does love to scramble, especially in big games. And honestly, I don't think he trusts his receiver core this year, and he's been using his legs a lot more. If you want to talk about primetime games, he's over in I think every home primetime game. He's going to be very active with his legs. The 4.5 rush attempts I thought was good because he can kneel as well, either at half or at the end of the game to give you it. But also his longest rush of 12.5, he's never gone over 27 rushing yards this year without having a longest rush of 12.5 yards. So I think if you're going to pick one, you might as well take the over 12.5 and just assume he gets it on a big run. I didn't play it because of the weather and just because I had a lot of plays out today, but I do love that look, and I'm still debating on pulling trigger before the end of the night. But I want to know your thoughts on a Patrick Mahomes rushing one.
I really like that. Again, that's one of the ones where I think in this game where the receivers are going to be not moving as fast as they normally should, and maybe the defense won't. I know that's like a cheesy way of saying that, but I really think that is actually a line that I probably would take that I did not think of, especially given the conditions.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Well, we're not going to leave here without doing a first touchdown score. So why don't we pick which game we want to do this for? You want to do the night game? Actually, let's do the night game because it sucks for touchdowns, but we have like 10 minutes before this other one starts.
Yeah.
So let's do the night game. You know the drill. Can't be under. It's the playoffs. Screw that. Who's scoring first?
Scoring first for the night game. Oh man, that's a tough one. Obviously, with the Chiefs and the Dolphins, I'm fading Tua, so I can't possibly say that it's going to be a Dolphins player. I think their offense is mortally screwed. I think it's got to be either Pacheco or Kelsey. I'm going to say Pacheco slams one in. I think he's going to be the guy in this game that if I had to pick another prop outside of the ones we talked about, I think that he's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 carries today. And he just seems someone that's going to run hard and just does not feel cold weather like other normal humans do.
I like that a lot. I think Pacheco's going to bust out a huge run because it's going to be so hard to tackle that guy, if we're being honest. One thing I kind of like, and it's so ugly because he only has one touchdown this year. I might do this. Kadarius Toney, because I think that he could be involved in the running game this week just because of the conditions. He doesn't run a lot, but he has games where he'll run twice, run once. And I think at the goal line, they'll get a little cheeky per se. You know what I mean? They're going to try to disguise some plays. Maybe he runs across and they just give him a handoff. It's kind of like a little Deebo Samuel play. And I kind of like the Kadarius Toney look. I'm obviously not putting a lot of money on this, but I think at plus 3,500 on MGM, I have to sprinkle it.
Yeah, I also like Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's plus 2,500 on DraftKings. I'm sure you can find a better price on another book. But I think he's really interesting because the last two games that he played with Patrick Mahomes in week 16 and 17, he was in on 82% and 70% of the wide receiver routes. So he's going to be one of the rare guys that's going to be on the field a lot. I don't like Miami to score, so it's going to be one of 4 or 5 guys for the Chiefs. I don't mind the odds of maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 at a rate of plus 2,500.
Yeah, I see plus 3,100 on FanDuel.
FanDuel, I'm gonna play that right now. Throw a couple bucks on it.
Yeah, I think we get cheeky with it. I think if Kadarius Toney scores the first touchdown, I'm giving away some money to someone who's maybe in the comments, probably in this video. I'll figure something out. But guys, everyone just commented about the weather. No one really had any questions. This guy said, how about Kelsey anytime touchdown? I probably wouldn't bet it for me because I think this game, I think they score 3 touchdowns max, and I'm not sure Kelsey's one of those guys.
I agree with that.
I think his price has to be a little better. But, all right, that is everything today. Houston's playing inside Dome today. Yeah, we've been over that. That's basically it. Best of luck on your bets today. We will be back tomorrow with Austin. Alex will not be here. Me and Austin will be back for the Sunday plays. Best of luck on your bets today. Enjoy some football. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.